She squeezes off a second shot. It hits Frank Gannon just above the collarbone. The force turns him till he is standing with his right side to me. She pulls the trigger once again, barely blinking. This round cuts through Frank's gut. His hand is hanging useless at his side, but the piece is still in it. The force of the bullet hitting him causes him to buckle a little. His .45 fires. That bullet punches the ground just inches from me. I hear another shot and look toward her. Frank is a bull of a man, with a torso like a keg. He staggers like a drunk but remains on his feet. He raises his right arm and points his .45 in her direction. She fires yet again. Where this bullet lands, I do not know. Moments later, standing over him with no expression on her face, she takes aim at his head. There is no time for me to do anything more than witness what I do not seem at all able to forget. I awoke, moved to the edge of my mattress, and sat there for a while. I had no idea what time it was. It was still night, and that was all that matters. My bedroom was cold, the only radiator in my apartment out in the living room, beneath my 3 front windows. But I stayed where I was. I had dreamed about that night often enough to know that I needed to be still for its effects to pass. I wrapped my wool blanket around my shoulders and waited for my heart to stop pounding. All I could hear was my breathing. All I could think about was her. Eventually, I realized I wouldn't be going back to sleep. I picked up my watch from the nightstand. I had less than an hour before I needed to leave for work. Giving up all hope of sleep, I walked into my living room and stood at my front windows, watched the empty street below. I saw nothing move, nor did I hear a sound for a long time. Then dawn began, and I got dressed and went down the 2 flights of stairs and out into the cold. Chapter 1. It was during the last moments of twilight that I got my first glimpse of the man I mistook for Augie Hartzell. The streetlights had only just come on, and the sky had bled out fast, the way it does this time of year, suddenly wet black and freckled with faint stars straight up, but holding pale blue still along the low horizon, beyond the skeletal trees and the line of small brick buildings, all fashionable shops and restaurants, that made up this part of Southampton. I had picked up Tina at her doctor's office in Hampton Bays, and was heading back with her through town in my cab, turning from Job's Lane onto Main Street, when I saw him. Oh, what for a heart-wrenching second I thought was him. A giant of a man in jeans and a worn-out military field jacket, crossing the empty winter street against the light. The collar of his jacket was worn high against the cold, obscuring his face, so it was really the way he walked that caught my eye, and not so much how he looked. He had, or so it seemed to me in that brief glimpse, a hint of a limp in his right leg. The initial resemblance was startling to my mind, dulled by a long day of driving, and I felt my left foot suddenly lifting, poised to hit the brake. But I caught my error fast enough, caught this foolishness before it completely took hold of my reason like some kind of mirage. Of course I knew Augie had been killed months ago, shot while saving Tina, his daughter, from a madman's bullet. And the man who, upon crossing Main Street, entered the village hall was clearly in his early 20s, or maybe even younger, not his mid-50s as Augie had been. I didn't need to see his face to know this. He wore his hair in a buzz cut like Augie had, and it was even the same color, shoe brown. But it wasn't touched with gray at the temples, and though he was clearly big enough to have worn Augie's clothes, the sense of power that came off Augie like a glow, the power of a circus strongman, just wasn't coming off this man. No, I told myself, easing my foot back to the floorboard. Augie was dead. He had made his way out of this world, and would have the good sense never to come back. This bad joke I was playing on myself was only one of those tricks of the eye that mourners must endure till they finally find themselves no longer looking, out of habit or need, or a blend of both, for their lost loved ones to reappear.